we see this Winnebago pull in next to us with New York tags. And of course we're going, oh, shoot. But then, being the smart Southern women we were, we realized that being a Winnebago meant they have a bathroom.
Oh. Whoa. So wait a second here. There was an actual restroom trailer tie-in on this day as well?
Absolutely.
Okay, that part I didn't know. That's unbelievable.
What does it mean to plant your flag? It means you're not afraid.
It means you're passionate about what you do.
It means you're here to serve others.
In business, in life.
In good and bad.
You aren't afraid to fly your colors proudly because you know
you serve a greater purpose. This is the Plant Your Flag podcast with Mike Bean
and Jeremy Mountain. Hello and welcome back. It's the Plant Your Flag podcast with Bean Media. I am one of your two hosts, Jeremy Mountain, Director of Marketing here at Bean Media, and we're on our episode 20 already. Seems like it's going very quickly, but also very slowly at the same time. It feels like we've done 500 episodes, but this is only our 20th. But hey, growing. Everyone that's been on seems to have a really good time, and I'm excited to have Tracey McCormick here with us today from National Restroom Trailers, based out of Buffalo. Tracey, welcome to the Plant Your Flag podcast.
Thank you. Thank you so much for inviting me. I'm happy to be here.
And we're happy to have a nice Southern Belle voice on here. We're just joking a little bit. Tracey's original background was on management customer service, and I had said, well, it would be a little bit difficult to get mad hearing that voice over the phone.
Well, thank you. That was my job, is to kind of calm everyone down.
Yeah. So as we do each episode, we're going to sort of open it up the same way and get to know Tracey a little bit, some of her background, some of how she ended up as a business owner. As always, we like to remind our viewers, please like, subscribe, comment, share with a friend, share on social media. We try to get some clips out every so often. But let's get right into the story of National Restroom Trailers and Tracey McCormick, as well as Bill, her husband.
Thank you.
And we started off each one with what or who inspired you to plant your flag?
Well, for us, it was necessity. We were both in transitional phases of our lives, and we realized that we wanted to do something where we were not working for other people. We wanted to do something for ourselves, build a business that we can either, have our kids work with us, and build it to something that we could, pass on, generational company, something to give them a good start so that they can work for themselves and keep building this company. And we've been very fortunate so far. We've had several family members that are either currently working or have worked for us. And it feels good to be able to help family and to give them a career path.
That's interesting. That's sort of a different, a different perspective. A lot of times, as we were talking a little bit, there's a little bit of a necessity or survival element to starting and jumping out and planting flags as far as like some of our other guests. But how many family members would you say have worked for the company so far?
Currently, we have 2 sons and our son-in-law. Prior to that, my father worked for us for a while. We had our daughter's fiance was working with us. We've built our team to be a family, even if you're not related to us by blood or marriage. The people that work with us have been with us. And, we just want to keep growing it. And if anyone else in the family wants to take part, then we will try to do our best to find a place for them.
That's special. That's definitely something that I don't know if we've heard here on the podcast before, as far as because that can get ugly sometimes, I would think, but maybe not.
We've been lucky so far. Right now, Bill and I are the main components of the internal part of the company. I'm the CFO and owner. Anything that has to do with numbers and money, that's me. With Bill, it's, anything having to do with sales. So eventually we do want to step away. So we will be bringing in, have to bring in someone else to handle our positions. And again, it's still growth opportunities. We are still, for the most part, a young company. We will hit 10 years in 2 years. So we're like right at 8 years old. But we have grown and surpassed our growth expectations from when we first started.
Well, let's take it back a little bit to the beginning, because you had just been telling me a little bit about how NRT was started. But if you could let the viewers know, where did this journey begin for National Restroom Trailers? And we will get into what National Restroom Trailers does down the line here. But tell us a little bit about how you and Bill sort of got into being business owners.
Well, as we said, our professional paths were at a standstill. My husband, Bill, had gotten laid off. He needed to find a job, and he wanted to find one that was a remote position because we had a daughter at home. I was working for a company, and I was in their customer service department, and I knew that was not where I was meant to be. So Bill got laid off, answered a Craigslist ad, and started working for a restroom trailer company. Never heard of the industry before, had no idea about it, but he knew sales, and he knew if they could make it, he could sell it.
Had he done sales his whole life, basically?
Yeah, he has a strong presence in telecom back when telecom was big, in the 80s and the 90s. He worked with that and had moved on to other demographics, other items, but he's a salesperson at heart. That is where his strengths lie. And he knew that, that was what he wanted to do, where he could grow and find the most opportunity is in sales. So he started working with this company. It ends up that his direct supervisor was also new to the industry, but he thought, I can do this. So his supervisor quit his position, started his own company, and then invited Bill to come along. So Bill worked with him for a couple of years. And then after a while, it's like I got laid off, and he said, you know what? We can do this. That's what we did. So he quit that position, and we started our own company back in September of 2017.
What sort of feelings did you have upon, because it's not the first time we've heard someone we just had Steve Katakis from Nickel City Property Management recently. Mike just sat down with him, and it was a similar story where he was in a totally different industry, and he had to sort of pivot quickly and find something new. What sort of feelings were invoked in you when you sort of, because you mentioned that it was something that you weren't exactly the most happy in. Was there relief? Was there fear? What sort of feelings did you have that led to Bill saying, you know what, let's just plant our own flag?
It was kind of the opposite, because I got laid off, and then that was when Bill said, okay, we can do this. And of course, immediate panic. It's like, okay, we're going to
do what?
We're going to do what? Are you sure we can do this?
Right.
I don't know. What do you know? I know nothing.
Yeah.
But, so when for being let go, then that gave me more time. So we, went and filed the paperwork and, tried to figure everything out. I built a website. I've never done that before. Thank goodness for the help and undo buttons. It's like, okay, if we're doing this, okay, where do I get a domain? Okay, well, I found that. Now what do I do? And I even designed our logo, which I would not want anyone to see now. It was so unprofessional, but, it filled a hole.
Yeah, it gets it going, gets the ball rolling. That's some of the stuff that progress over perfection, we like to say around here, and it gets things moving. Did you ever think that you were going to own your own business?
Never. That was never even something that was on my radar. I spent most of my career in support positions, starting way back as receptionist and, back before, there was even a mouse for Word. Everything that you did for Microsoft were function keys and so that's how far back I've gone on computers. And that's what I've always done. And I think that background has helped me because it's put me in every department, because everyone at the time needed someone to type. someone to answer phones. So I'd been in accounting, human resources, front desk, executive level. So I had a little bit of knowledge in a lot of places.
Over that experience of those different places and even technologically, that's interesting. As far as like not having a mouse, that is definitely before my time. What types of qualities do you think that created in you in over years that maybe gave you the confidence to say yes when Bill said, "Let's do this"?
Well, I think it was first my faith in him. If he thought we could do this, I have all the confidence in him and all the faith in him. It's like, okay, if you think we can do this, then we're going to do it. So what do you need me to do? He says, I'm going to do sales. You handle the rest. Okay. And that's how it's pretty much been ever since.
That's interesting. What would you say to someone out there that has maybe, because I don't know if every couple could manage a business together. What would you say to someone out there who thinks that maybe is not possible? What does it take, I guess, to separate church and state between like home life and professional life? Or is it better to combine the two? I don't know. What would you say?
I will say it's a good thing we started when we did, because when the pandemic happened, we were already working at home and we were already used to each other. So there was no, except for having my daughter home more because she was doing the remote learning, it didn't affect our household at all. And the fact that he's in the basement and I'm on the second floor gives us the separation during the day. I mean, if we have questions, we call or email each other just like we would do in any office. And at the end of the day, we try to just shut those doors.
Clock out.
Yeah, pretty much.
Interesting.
Mean, he eats lunch when he eats lunch. I eat lunch when I eat lunch. We don't, necessarily have to spend the whole day together.
Right. That's a very interesting aspect that I didn't anticipate going down the road of COVID. But as far as we were talking before, and NRT has people sort of all over the place. Mm-hmm. Was that always the case, or did you have to pivot during the pandemic, or was, because you had mentioned Bill wanted to be able to work from home when he sort of went to the previous company, was that always kind of the vision for the company, is not having everyone have to come in and sit down in the same place every day?
It was, at least for me, because from an accounting and business point of view, we had no overhead. We didn't have to worry about an office. Everything that we do is on laptops and phones. So we were able to hire the people that we wanted to hire no matter where they were. I mean, currently we've got, a sales director that's in Canada. We've got a sales manager that's in Texas. We have, those that are in New York. They're all over. And if someone moves from one to another or does this or that, it doesn't affect them. They can still work with us no matter where they are.
What do you think it takes for a professional, whether they're 25 or 65? Because I would assume there'd be a certain type of person that would be better at almost like a self-management role and staying productive. What do you think it takes to be productive in that setting?
It takes a lot of self-discipline, because it's easy to stay focused when you set your alarm for 6:30 in the morning so you can get up and you can have breakfast by 7 and get dressed and have a shower and be out the door by 8. When you're working from home and working for yourself, you sleep in till 8 or 9, or you might have errands to run during the day and you're leaving. You're not as structured, which is fine. If you can get whatever work needs to be done in 2 hours, do it in 2 hours and have the rest of the day. The only, with a sales position especially, the only accountability you have is your commission. Right. So if you're not working and you're not putting in the effort and you're not returning the phone calls and following up, you're not going to get the paycheck.
Right. Yeah. So I guess it does benefit in that sort of setting. What would you say, having done it now for 8 years, going on, 10, what would you say after stepping into this world and being in it for a little while now, what would you say is the most fulfilling aspect of owning your own business?
I feel it is the freedom that we have to do what we need to do and run our business. If we decide to go on a vacation, the business doesn't suffer. We've got a laptop, we've got a cell phone. We can try and limit it, but we can still, have that flexibility. If, one of the kids, the grandkids, if someone needs to watch them during the day, we have that flexibility. Okay, we can be over during the day. If, one of our children want to work for the company, okay, well, we can work with you on that. What do you want to do? Where do you see yourself growing? It's the flexibility of having more opportunities.
Yeah, it sounds, I feel like to one person it might sound terrifying, and another person it might sound like so fun to be able to just bring your laptop and know. I mean, there's times where I've thought that I could do my job from a remote setting, but then there's things in terms of like influencing others and productivity and leadership that I feel I try to bring to the table and sort of lead by example in that way. And I think there's something to be said about that being contagious in an office setting. But does it seem like, because you guys are a little bit more remote based, does it seem like there's not really like a 9 to 5 for not only the owners, but everyone that's involved? Is it a little bit more just kind of a lifestyle then?
It is, because, honestly, I work on weekends. I don't like to start on Monday with an inbox full of emails. So I'll make sure at least Saturday and or Sunday just to log on, take an hour, log on the computer, look at the emails. Anything that can wait, anything that needs to be addressed, I can take care of right then. So, we do have freedom and we do have flexibility, but we are still, with the phone, it's going to ring.
Right.
You don't always have to answer it, but it's going to ring.
But you never know what's on the other end.
Exactly.
And that with like the old saying, with great freedom comes great responsibility. That certainly rings true. Mm-hmm. What do you love most about what you guys do?
The industry has changed so much, and I love seeing how much it's changing and the new things that people are envisioning for a trailer, and and again, working with family and being able to go and see and do and know that you can keep the business going. We are so lucky. And that's, I can honestly say that from where we began in 2017, I would never have imagined where we are right now.
Yeah. So let's get into a little bit about these trailers, because when someone hears the word trailer, depending on where they're from, whether they've lived in one, whether they've, maybe my father and my mother spent a lot of time in sprint car driving, and,
Mm-hmm.
The sprint cars, you travel with a trailer, maybe keep 1 or 2 cars in there, basically a mobile garage. But when I first heard about these things, I had maybe seen 1 or 2 in my life. But tell us a little bit about the product itself, from when Bill first started stepping into the industry, and then maybe we'll get into where it's gotten to today.
Well, when we first started, there were maybe 3 types of trailers: a restroom trailer, a shower trailer, and a combination restroom and shower trailer. It was not a very well-known market. They were pretty basic, at the time, maybe a step above a porta potty, and they were used for outdoor events, for lawn fetes, or I think we had some at the New York State Fair. It was just...
That may have been the first place I saw one.
Possibly.
Now that I think about it.
Yeah.
And like VIP areas, I think that was like the first place I had maybe seen them, was like a VIP, like maybe Canal Side, and they're basically those. They're sort of luxurious as opposed to the stack of 75 porta potties that may or
Right.
may not be clean. You don't know who was in there before. But so when Bill first got into the industry, what do you think he felt about being able to sell these things? Because now obviously there's so many different renditions, and like as you were mentioning, the creative element of what can be done within the confines of those. I mean, who was he selling to then versus like who you guys are meeting with and some of the products that you guys are putting out today?
It was very limited as far as, with the leads and the type that came through. We were just starting to build up with like the barn weddings.
Right.
That was just starting to pick up, where they would have, the outdoor barn weddings, and it was in someone's property, and they didn't want the people going in their house to go to the bathroom.
Right.
So in fact, I think that was our very first customer. I think she was in like Idaho, and she wanted a custom built bathroom trailer for her wedding venue. And, so that was kind of where we were finding it. I mean, again, there weren't that many places. So you would look at like Canal Side. We sold 2 trailers down there. Any sort of outdoor venue usually was looking for, as you said, a VIP, someplace for the talent to hang out, beforehand, air conditioned or heated, depending on the season.
Right.
Private bathroom stalls, running water to wash hands.
Yeah. And even like construction sites and things like that. I know that's something that, even though the construction guys don't always need the nicest stuff, but I think it certainly builds morale to have, especially some of those things. But some of the other things like that you guys have got into in the last few years, as far as some of the nonprofits, laundry, those types of things. I know you had mentioned a little bit about God before this. Does it feel rewarding to be able to take something as simple but complex and interesting as the restroom trailer and transform that into being able to provide, disaster relief and shelter for homeless people and work with these nonprofits around the country?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, a lot of the shower trailers, those are the ones, the type of trailer that they look for the most when they're working with the homeless or, the displaced. To be able to take a shower, a hot shower, is such a treat. The fact they may go, several days without anything, and for them to bring a trailer down that has 4 or 5 showers so they can get in, they can get clean, they can feel better about themselves. And laundry trailers, especially during the hurricanes, the ice storms, we'd have laundry trailers that would be, shipped down so people could wash their clothes. They've got no power, they've got no water at home, they may not have a home, but at least they can have clean clothes.
And who are like some of the organizations that come to mind as far as some of the maybe more rewarding personally for you over the years of being able to provide a product for? Is there any that really stand out for you in memory?
The most recent, we worked with NAMI, their location that was in San Diego. In fact, Bill and I went out there for a day just to show them how the trailer worked, to make sure it was set up properly, to meet the people, the organizers, as well as the ones that were also going to be, using the shower. Had shower stalls, and I think it had laundry, and then it had like outdoor sinks. So, it was very multifunction.
Yeah.
And that's something we've seen lately, that they don't want just a shower or a laundry. They want a lot of function, in one trailer,
right,
so that they can serve a lot of needs.
Right. And so being that it is not necessarily like a small product, we work with some companies that are service-based, some companies that may have a smaller, more affordable product, or many products. I know that you're not necessarily on the sales side, but obviously being married to Bill and being so involved in it and sales meetings and things like that, how would you say it may differ from other industries in not only finding leads, capturing leads, but building trust and helping someone invest in something like that? Because they're not cheap, I can't imagine.
Well, I mean, it's kind of like, you can buy an inexpensive car, or you can buy an expensive one. You can get an inexpensive, restroom trailer, which might just be a drop box with running water, a toilet, air conditioning, and that's it. Or you can get something that's a little fancier. So it's like everything. We also do pre-owned. So someone may have used it, their need is no longer, so they want to be able to sell it back. So we can do pre-owned as well, which will help the up and coming businesses. Someone that's just wanting to start a trailer rental business, they don't want to start with a new one. Let's see how it goes. We'll use a pre-owned one.
Yeah, almost not exactly like, but almost like someone who may want to start like a vending machine company in a different way, a little bit larger scale. But do you find a lot of people from when you first started till now, is it more of a popular thing to sort of start the rental business?
It's always been popular. We are hearing more, that people are wanting to build their fleets. We have a lot of customers that, come back, every year, 2 years, 3 years. Okay, we've been using this trailer for 2 years. We're ready to phase it out. Can you sell this and go on and start building us a new one? And they'll rotate inventory like that.
Interesting. So there are people that come back.
Oh, yeah.
So it's not just like a one and done. And now, do you feel that Bill's background in sales and his experience in sales sort of is the lifeblood that, I guess, keeps these relationships warm and strong?
Well, I've always said that Bill is the sail and I'm the rudder. He keeps us moving forward. I keep us on track. So,
Interesting.
But yeah, I mean, he knows sales. So, he can help the sales team, if they've got questions. Most of them are self-sufficient. We have 1 or 2 new people that, he's still instilling that confidence and the knowledge so that, they can become more comfortable, in talking with the customers and potential customers.
Yeah. Yeah. If there was someone out there that, maybe in a position where they're not extremely happy, or maybe they're considering or have an idea to start a business, or maybe their partner is talking about starting a business, what would you say to someone out there in terms of, like, if they asked you, should I do this? Should I, what should I do here? What would you say in terms of the thought or the perspective of starting a business or planting their own flag?
Do the research and find your market. When we started this, we didn't know how big this market was going to grow. It was very niche. It's not as niche anymore. It's becoming more and more popular, especially, through the pandemic when they needed additional places to shower and to go to the bathroom and, things like that. So if you can think it, you can do it, but you just need to make sure you do it the right way. Find the right market. It may not be New York. It may be someplace else. Find the right partners, find a mentor, find, a company that you want to be like. If you're wanting to sell widgets, find out who the number 1 widget seller is. What did they do? Where did they start? How did they grow?
Yeah.
You just do research. Don't jump in as blindly as we did. We were lucky.
Kind of going back to your roots, where exactly did you grow up? Because obviously by now someone has tried to pick out where your accent is from.
I'm originally from Tennessee. I was born in West Tennessee, went to school in East Tennessee, but grew up in Middle Tennessee. So I've covered the state. Interesting.
And I'm aware of your football knowledge, but you have to share the story of how you and Bill met.
Oh, gosh. I didn't know you did that.
I only know it because of Mike, and I think Bill may have told me when I first met with Bill at our old office years ago. I think that's when I found out. I mean, I don't know. There could be more to the story. All I know is that there was a football game involved. That's all I know.
It is a perfect example of being in the wrong place at the right time. Being from Tennessee back in 2000, and I'm sure as most people from Buffalo are aware of, there was this little football game that went on in Nashville, the wild card playoff game. As most of Buffalo will not think fondly of the game, Bill can never speak wrongly of it. And I was there with a bunch of friends of mine. We were not supposed to be in that parking lot. My friend who was arranging this had lost her parking pass. So we were in a completely different parking lot, and as we're enjoying ourselves and breakfast and libations, we see this Winnebago pull in next to us with New York tags. And of course we're going, oh, shoot. But then, being the smart Southern women we were, we realized that being a Winnebago meant they have a bathroom.
Oh. Whoa. So wait a second here. There was an actual restroom trailer tie-in on this day as well?
Absolutely.
Okay, that part I didn't know. That's unbelievable. So you actually were able to not need to walk anywhere to go use a porta potty, and there was this next door, and that was Bill's?
That was Bill's. He had driven down. He worked for Adelphia at the time, and driven the stadium the Titans played in was the Adelphia Coliseum. They had the original naming rights. So they came down in a Winnebago, a bunch of his guy friends. I was there with a bunch of my girlfriends. We said, look, we've got food, we've got drinks. You're welcome to any of it as long as we can use your bathroom. Of course, the guy said, sure.
Okay, that's some God stuff. You can't make that up.
Exactly.
And then here we are. And this was the day of the Music City Miracle, you're saying?
Yes.
Oh, my God. I remember where I was. I was at my parents' house. I was probably only 10 years old, but I remember it vividly. I still say the drive by Rob Johnson at the end leading up to that is an underrated game because everyone loved Flutie that year, obviously. Oh, yeah. And no one liked him. And I still say that was one of the gutsiest drives, and no one will ever give him credit for it. He lost a shoe. There was tape hanging off of his ankle. All for nothing. No one will ever remember it. But that is truly remarkable. Honestly, I didn't know that part of the story. I just knew the Bills Titans and your tie-in with Tennessee. But
right.
that is a next level story right there. And yes, there's definitely some spiritual trailblazing going on there. As we're getting close here, I really appreciate you coming down, Tracey.
Sure.
This has been really fun. Is there something that you would maybe remember as one of the funniest or weirdest or just oddest things that you've experienced in your industry or in your career with NRT?
Oh, absolutely. Can you imagine someone bringing you a gold trailer?
Maybe Donald Trump, but that's the only person I could imagine.
Nope. They came to us. This was a major toilet paper manufacturer, and they had created, for promotional reasons, a gold trailer, gold toilet seat, gold fixtures. You know, where they had it set up, it was like a gold carpet, everything, because they were introducing some new product.
Yeah.
I'm not sure why it was never used, brand new, never used, and we were actually able to find someone that wanted to buy that.
And it wasn't Donald Trump.
And it was not Donald Trump. No.
How did you find them and without giving too much information about them, but like, what did they use it for? What did they want it for? Were they just very rich?
No. It was a restroom. They were using it with their company. They, I guess, do promotional stuff as well.
Okay. And
so they thought, oh, this is great. We don't even have to, dress it up. I think they took the original logo off and put their logo on it.
Yeah.
And, so when they go to events, then everyone knows who the gold toilets are.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good promotion. Can't really forget that experience. Is there anything that you can think of that you want to make sure that we get to today as far as just the history of NRT, anything like that?
We are very fortunate in the fact that our company is different than most others in the industry because we are not locked into one manufacturer. We are representatives. We work with several. And that gives us the opportunity to find, if someone comes to us, we can either design a trailer or they can tell us what they need, and we can keep it within their time frame and or budget. If we only worked with one manufacturer, we would lock into whatever, what they build,
right.
what their options are, their time frames. But the fact that we're able to work with many helps us give the customer the best opportunities.
And that was something I was going to ask was competition. Have you seen competition sort of heat up as, I mean, being somewhat of a trailblazer or leader in the industry, with that comes, ankle biters, price gougers, people that are going to undercut you, try and sort of mimic you, copy you. How have you seen competition rise up in the last 8 years, and how do you best compete against that competition?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, there are always people that are, maybe they were manufacturers. They're not going to manufacture anymore, but they're going to do sales. And, there's competition, obviously, but what we offer is a team. You're not dealing with one salesperson. You have a team. And if one person's not available, then, there's going to be someone else that will get you the answer. That's where we thrive. And with especially our larger customers, that's what we tell them. You don't have a salesperson. You have a sales team that is here to help you. And it doesn't matter if they're a multi-billion-dollar customer or if they're a startup. Everyone has a sales team that is there to support them, find them the right product, get them the right product, answer questions, do customer service, whatever they need to succeed. We have a team there that will stay with you for as long as you've got the trailer.
That seems like it would certainly prove to be, I think it's like showing and not telling someone, and being able to prove that. Roughly how many different manufacturers do you guys have, and are they in specific regions of the country? Like, how do you find the right one for the customer? Is it based on their design, or?
It's based on the design, their budget, and their time frame. If they need something quickly, then we have manufacturers that are constantly creating one or two styles, so that we know in every 2 weeks this particular type of trailer is going to be available. And if all they need is a restroom trailer, 2 or 3 station, just something simple, we would know that would be a manufacturer to go with. If they're looking for something heavy duty, well, then we've got a manufacturer that will do that, that works with steel, that can do extra wide bodies, that can, be more durable for construction sites, oil fields, inclement weather. Or if you want something that's a little nicer, that has the shiplap and, the keypad doors, something that's a little fancier for wedding venues or VIP areas, we have a manufacturer that can do that as well.
Okay, interesting. Very interesting. What would you say is the biggest challenge between that timetable? Like, roughly, when someone does something custom, we'll say, how long? Because they're large. They're not a small.
Right.
I mean, some of them can be small. It's incredible. Like, some of them can be very small. Some of them can be very big. But what is the typical timetable on something? Understanding there's variance in the size, but like, what's the biggest challenge to getting that done? Do people usually have an expectation of a timetable, and is that timetable the same as what it is in reality? Or do people think they can get them like that? Or
Yeah, a lot of people think that, we're just
they're
sitting
just down
around.
at, yeah.
We're sitting around waiting on the phone call saying
Right.
that it's like, no. And again, that's why we work with different manufacturers. That's why we have a pre-owned inventory so that
Right.
we can have things available if they need it right away. We just had a customer that purchased a pre-built, that was already designed, that needed it by the weekend, or they would not be able to open their restaurant because they wouldn't have, be able to pass the health inspections.
Right.
And we were able to turn that around in like 2 weeks.
Wow.
From the time we got the order, locked in the trailer, got the payments, and able to ship it out. So we were able to meet, their deadline.
So for something like one of the, let's say the biggest, craziest one, what is the longest that something like that takes? Because I imagine like shipbuilding, and I've seen some of the like manufacturing facilities and things like that, and these aren't. I mean, they're. I would almost put them in the category of like tiny homes where you're not living in them, but the same kind of mindset of designing in a small space. What would something like those huge ones, like how long do those take to build?
The actual build time is not that long. Something, if it were extra large, might be 3 weeks.
Oh,
Normally, they can get it done in, 1 to 2 weeks for, something smaller. It's being able to fit it in their schedule. So right now it's a busy time of year. So if someone were to come in with an order for one of our manufacturers, it might be 12 weeks before we could get it to them because they're already,
Right.
locked into those slots.
right.
After the first of the year, sometimes things slow down and it's a shorter time frame because, everyone was wanting to get theirs built before the summertime.
Right. Right. That makes a lot of sense. Well, I think we've covered a lot. The one thing I wanted to sort of ask you as we get near the end here is what's next for you and NRT, like looking forward? Do you forecast a lot more of the same? Do you see new things happening that you're excited about? What's sort of on the frontier?
We are looking to expand in some different industries and maybe expand what we offer into things, besides the restroom and the shower trailer, the laundry trailer, the bunkhouse trailer, the sensory trailers. I mean, we're doing that now, but we're looking to possibly expand to office trailers and maybe even like to talent trailers.
What would a talent trailer?
I mean, like if you go to a movie site,
Oh,
so it
okay.
would just be, it'd have like a comfort area with a couch. It would have maybe a shower, a restroom.
Yeah.
Just something that's a little more homey that the
Yeah.
talent would use.
And you guys have even done some like command center type things. I know that one was really unique. This is the Air Force one.
Yes.
Yeah, that one was really unique. Is there challenges to having those built, or are like you were mentioning, is there different manufacturers that are better
Right.
at something like with like the tech and things like that built in?
Well, it's not so much that it's with something like that, it needs to be self-sufficient. So including the solar panels for power and generators, the water tanks, the waste tanks, making sure that everything, should something happen, should there be a storm, that office will still function.
Yeah, yeah, it's pretty incredible that you can pack so much into one of these things. And we do recommend you to check out nrtsales.com is the URL.
That's it.
To see all of the different inventory that they have and that they offer up, and do like and follow them on social media so you can see some of the different iterations and use cases for these trailers. I really appreciate it. Tracey, is there anything that you'd like to leave us with?
No, just if you can imagine it, we can get it built one way or another.
And how do they find you? What's the best way to reach out to you?
If you go to our website, then you will find forms you can fill out, or you can call us directly at 877-727-3621, and you can either choose the option for new, pre-owned, or customer service.
Thank you so much, Tracey, and thank you for listening and watching. We'll see you on the next episode of the Plant Your Flag podcast. Thanks. Did we say we were talking into the tip or the side? I don't remember. Check. Probably the tip. It gets hot in here. I already know the answer to some questions, but you know what I mean?
Yeah, but you still want to share the information.
Oh, did we? Forgot about that. Unless you probably did it, didn't you?
Actually didn't.
I figured you did.
And we'll be at dinner, and the phone's ringing off the hook. It's like, oh my gosh, will you turn it off?
Yeah.